Welcome to lesson 1.3, and here we're going to just review your skills with solving equations. We're going to start really simple and move up real quick, and hopefully you remember some of these steps. So to solve equations, what we need to do is we focus on isolating the variable. And we do that by essentially the reverse operations of BEDMAS. So we take a look at the first three examples. These are single step, hopefully very easy. We have x plus 5 equals 9. If we want to isolate that x, we got to get rid of that plus 5. And we do that by subtracting 5. If I do that to one side of the equation, to keep it balanced, I have to do that to the other. So 5 and 5 cancel, or positive 5 and negative 5 cancel on the left side. I'm left with x, so it's isolated. Then I just simplify the right side, which is 9 minus 5, which is 4. So quick, simple step. Okay, for b, I have x divided by 2. The reverse of division is multiplication. So I will have to multiply by 2 on the left, and I have to multiply 2 on the right to keep everything balanced. The 2's will cancel. I'll be left with x. And then I simplify 7 times 2, which is 14. So again, quick single steps. And then finally over at C, I have 6 times x equals negative 12. Here I want to divide out the 6 because it's 6 times x. I want to do the opposite. So I divide 6 and I divide 6 on the other side. My 6's will cancel. I'll be left with x, and I simplify the other side. I have a negative 12 divided by 6, so I'll have a negative 2. So we'll take a look at examples number 2. Here we have 2 steps. So we got to show your steps. I always want you to show your work. Again, we're trying to isolate the y. So we work backwards. We're going to subtract 6 on the left, which means we subtract 6 on the right. When I sum that, the 6's will cancel. I'll be left with 2y on the left. On the right, I have 12 minus 6, and that will be 6. 2 times y will have to be divided by 2 in order to cancel, which means the right side has to be divided by 2. The 2's on the left cancel. I'm left with y, and I simplify the right side, which is 6 divided by 2 is 3. So let's take a look at B. Sometimes you're going to have variables on both sides of the equal sign. And in this case, before we can combine our like terms, we have to move them over so they're on the same side of the equal sign. It doesn't really matter which side that you want to put them on, but for this example, I'll just take the 2m and move it over to the left. At the same time, you can move 5, which is your constant, over to the right so that it is with negative 10. When we move terms over the equal sign, they have to change their sign. So in this case, we'll have 3m. We didn't move that, so negative 3m, but we did move the 2m, so it's going to become negative 2m. I keep my equal sign lined up as close as I can. I'll have negative 10, which we didn't move, but we did move positive 5, so that's going to become negative 5. Now we combine our like terms. So negative 3m minus 2m will have negative 5m equals negative 10 minus 5 is negative 15. We go ahead and multiply by negative 5. Divide by negative 5 on both sides. My negative 5's cancel. M equals positive 3. So here we are dealing with fractions, still trying to isolate x, but what we want to do is get rid of this fraction So we're going to subtract it. 2x, oh, sorry, let's just start by moving it over. We're going to move it over from the left to the right side. So we'll have 2x equals 2 over 3. It was a positive 1/2, so it's becoming a negative 1/2. And now if we take a look at the right side of this equation, we have fractions that don't have the same denominator, so they can't be subtracted. We have to change that and have a common denominator, and in this case, it is going to be 6. So I'm leaving the left side, we didn't touch it, it's a 2x. On the right side, we have to have the same denominator between those two fractions. So I changed the numerator. I had to multiply 3 by 2 to get 6. So I have to multiply 2 by 2. And then the second fraction, I have to multiply 2 by 3. So that means I have to multiply 1 by 3. And that's going to be 3. Now we have the same denominator. We can have 1/6. All right. Last step is to divide by 2 on the left and divide by 2 on the right. Remember dividing fractions? We'll have 1/6. We're going to change that division sign to a multiplication. And instead of using 2, we're going to take the reciprocal of 2 so that our final becomes 1 over 12. Now we introduce again solving equations, but we have brackets. We have to use the distributive property. So let's take a close look at this example here. We have 3 outside the bracket. We're going to have to multiply that by everything in the bracket. We'll have 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15 equals 6x. So since the 6x is all alone on the right side, I'm just going to go ahead and move my 3x over. Don't forget to change the sign. That'll leave 15 on the left. 6x minus 3x is going to be 3x. And then I'll divide by 3. Divide by 3. 3's cancel. X equals 5. Similarly for B, we have some brackets that we need to clear out using the distributive property. So this 4 needs to multiply by each of the terms inside that bracket. This 6 needs to be multiplied by each term inside the second bracket. Simplifying, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times negative y is negative 4y. 6 times 3y is 18y. And then 6 times 1 is 6. Go ahead and decide which side you want to simplify, or which side you want the variables and which side you want the constants. I'm going to go this way with the variables, and I'm going to go this way with the constants. So I'll have negative 4y minus 18y is equal to 6 minus 12. And I'll have negative 22y is equal to negative 6. Divide by negative 22. Divide by negative 22. They cancel. Y is equal to a positive. They're both even numbers, so I can go ahead and divide both of them by 2. So I'm going to have 3 over 11. Take a look at C. You can see we're getting complicated pretty quickly, but we have fractions and we have the distributive property. Let's go ahead and get started with the distributive property. So that half has to be distributed into the brackets. First, I'm not going to touch the left side, so I'm going to leave that as 3/4 t minus 2. And then 1/2 times t is going to be 1/2 t. And then 1/2 times 2 is going to give me 1. Now I have t's on both sides and constants on both sides. Let's go ahead and switch. I'm going to take the t over from the right side and move it to the left, and then take this constant from the left side and move it over to the right, and change the signs. So I will end up with 3 over 4t minus 1/2 t equals 1 plus 2. So then I'm faced again with these fractions that don't have the same denominator. It's a little easier this time. Our common denominator here will be 4. So I don't have to change the first fraction, but I will change the second, and that will be 2 over 4t. And on the right side, we have 3. So how many t's do we have here? We have 3/4 t minus 2/4 t. We're going to have 1/4 t equals 3. Now I want you to recognize here that over on the left side, this is the same as having e over 4 equals 3, which means what we can simply do here is multiply by 4 on the left and multiply by 4 on the right. That clears out my 4's, and I'll have t is equal to 12. We're going to take a last look at some of these problems that include perimeter and area. So I want to solve for x in the following diagram. The first one, we're talking about the perimeter of a rectangle. So that is, again, hopefully you're remembering the distance all around the outside of this rectangle. So we have 2 long sides. One here is labeled as 5x minus 1, and that means that the long side at the bottom has to be the same. The short side over here is 2x plus 3, which means its opposite side is also 2x plus 3. Remember, the perimeter is adding up all the sides, and inside this rectangle, you can see that it is given to equal 270. So let's write out this whole expression. We have 2x plus 3. We have 2 of them. So I'm going to multiply that by 2. I'm going to add it. Again, I have 2 of these sides. And so I'm going to multiply that. 5x minus 1. And all of those sides add up to give you 270. Let's go ahead and use our distributive property. So 2 times 2x is going to give me 4x. 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. 2 times 5x is going to give me 10x. And 2 times negative 1 is going to give me negative 2 equals 270. Go ahead and collect your like terms. We have the constants and we have the x terms. 4x plus 10x is 14x. And 6 minus 2 is plus 4. And that is equal to 270. Minus your 4 on both sides. We'll be left with 14x here because those cancel. 270 minus 4 is going to give me 266. Divide both sides by 14. 14's cancel, and x is going to be equal to 19. So we had to use this shape, the rectangle, build an expression or an equation, and then solve for x. Let's take a look at this triangle example. We have the 3 corners of the triangle as given expressions. And the trick here is to remember how many total degrees there are in a triangle. And if you don't recall off the bat, here's a reminder. 3 angles in a triangle total to be 180. So we build our equation off of that, and we have x plus 7. And we're going to add the other side, which is x plus 6. And finally add the third vertex, which was 3x minus 3. And all 3 of those angles have to equal 180. Let's go ahead and collect all our like terms. So we have x here, and 3x here. That gives me 5 x's. And then we have 7, 6, and negative 3. So that's going to give me 10 equals 180. We'll subtract our 10 from both sides. We'll have 5x left over on the left. And we'll have 170 over on the right. Divide both sides by 5. And x in this case is 34. So hopefully this lesson has given you a good review of how to solve equations. So go ahead and finish that up, and we will move on to our next lesson. We'll start to look at linear functions. All right, bye for now.